Hello, John and Nathaniel. Thanks for coming. I will be with you shortly. Let me know if something is wrong with the audio. Alright, just wrapping up the link sharing. Let's make sure those all went through. Okay. Alright, let's remove the holding screen. Sup, Dark Matter? Yeah, the chat box was acting a little finicky last stream. No messages have shown up in the chat box yet. Chat box is confirmed on my overlay. Hello, Fiverr. Well, okay, good. The chats are showing up now. And hello, Side 6. Thanks for coming, everyone. Hope you're all having a good Friday night. I got a nice fresh palette paper here. This is the Frontier Wargaming wet palette. It's alright. The reason I say it's alright is because the Army Painter one, which is definitely bigger and more expensive, I have enjoyed that one a bit more. The paper on this one, I find it tears a lot easier and doesn't behave quite as well as the Army Painter one, although from what I've heard, the Army Painter wet palette is like kind of the best, one of the best ones around right now. And the paper that came with this one, it has like kind of the same shape as the foam, but I find it works a bit better if you cut it down a bit, so there's like exposed sponge on either side, because if there's paper hanging off the edge, that's when it tends to dry up faster in my experience. Those sound like some good panel lines there. Alright, and those, most of you probably saw, I've posted the pictures of the finished brute drones for the Spires army, which was one of the units I started in my Conquest video way back last year. And so this is one of the finished Steel Legion, which is the other unit I started in that video. So this is the finished one here for reference in case I'm not sure what to paint something. So we got two fancy ones to paint. The good old standard bearer and commander. You know he's the commander because he's pointing and he has a fancier hat. So you have those two and then 6 more. So it's like the opposite of painting the Sasabi. I guess I would have talked a bit about this in the last stream. It's painting to tabletop quality because there's a lot of Conquest minis to paint. So it's all about speed and efficiency rather than smooth blends and sharp edge highlights. Because, you know, you gotta... It's all about strategy. I got way too many Conquest minis to paint, so I gotta figure out the most efficient way to do it. Cool, y'all are just talking about the panel liner. hockey games every weekend means you can't build Gunpla. I mean, I prefer hockey over Gunpla, but you do you. Those are both probably good things to have going on for you. Sorry to hear you're sick, Ethanol. Well, sometimes it feels like this handle won't hold the mini a bit. Like, the minis for this game don't have as much of like a slant to the lip as the GW ones, but this handle seems to grab it okay anyways. And so we could start with the brown. Yeah, the brown, all we have to do is the pants, really. So I think I'll just get that done over with. Yeah, maybe we'll save the purple for last, do brown, then gray. This color scheme's pretty, or like a lot of the work's been done already with dry brushing and airbrushing. It was airbrushed with, sorry, I bumped the mic there, model color bronze, and then dry brushed with a combination of other metallics. I still need to paint on some silver metallics, it looks like. I don't think I've done that on the swords either, no, but those aren't gonna go on the wet palette, so we'll do those probably right before we get to the washing stage. And let's re-moisten the wet palette a bit, because if this wet palette dries up a bit faster than the Army Painter one, I find. I think it's just because of the sponge material. But the more I've used the Frontier Wargaming one, you know, I'm getting like more of a hang of it. The same thing happened with my Privateer Press wet palette. It took a lot of actual time using it to like start getting used to how it behaved. You're watching, you're committing to the inferior watching device just for the sake of your cat. I respect that. Fiverr. Sup, Dolfo? Who's Ash and what did they do? Oh, Ash Ketchum? Oh, right. I think I saw a tweet about that. Ash Ketchum, like, finally became the greatest of them all. Is that what happened? Sound like some good panel lines there, Ethanol. We've got our model color Burnt Umber here. I don't think I have, yeah, okay. I thought that, I was like, whoa, I was going through a lot of this Burnt Umber. This bottle's almost empty. But then I remembered I bought a new bottle a while ago, and this is the one that was close to empty back then. I just haven't used it up yet, so I didn't have to do a panicked run to the hobby store because I was running low or anything. And I'm continuing to use old haggard beat up brushes with this project. Just because, like I was saying earlier, it's a tabletop quality painting, so I'm not putting in too much effort into the precision. It's more about efficiency. And, you know, I want the really nice brushes to last as long as I can. Maybe like when I'm getting closer to the final stages of painting these, I'll probably need a bit more control. Maybe I'll switch to the nicer brushes then. Yeah, almost unsubbed. I mean, back when like Gen 1 Pokemon was airing on TV, I couldn't really watch it unless I went to the video store and rented the tapes, and they usually only had like, you know, I was never able to watch the full season. I could only ever watch Pokemon at friends' houses because I didn't have cable. Yes, of course, it's met with respect, Fiverr. For what reason do we live other than to be servant to our cats? Or be servants to our cats? Now, I'm glad I was able to prove my Pokemon knowledge to you there. It was almost a blunder. What's that? Yeah, I had to really go out of my way to participate in the Pokemon pop culture that everyone else was doing back in my elementary school days. Trying to remember which gen of... I think like... Yeah, I can't remember the years exactly. Like the games that came out after Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow. What's that? Crystal and Diamond? No, it's not Diamond and Pearl. Oh, it's Gold and Silver. And then I think Crystal. Those are like the gens of Pokemon games that I remember always like looking over classmates' shoulders watching them play because I didn't have a Game Boy. Not all, but most of the Pokemon cards I got I had to buy myself. And yeah, didn't have cable, so I had to like rent Pokemon from the video store. So I definitely pick up plenty of knowledge about Pokemon over the years, just from it being such a monumental like force in pop culture for so long. But a lot of other things I was like, I guess, stunted or hindered my Pokemon scholarship. But you know, enough of my friends were into it, and cousins and stuff, and saw enough Pokemon movies that I was able to mostly keep up. So when I did see the news today on Twitter of Ash finally becoming the greatest Pokemon trainer of all, I understood what that meant. I did get to see, oh, Ruby and Sapphire took place after Gold and Silver. Oh yeah, I definitely remember when Ruby and Sapphire came out. Is that part painted brown? Yes. I did see the very first Pokemon movie in theaters. One of those movies where you like got a pack of Pokemon cards at the movie. It was like the movie specific card, or like a movie specific kind of booster pack. And the only reason I went to that is just because, like, you know, got invited to a birthday party. You know, classic childhood stuff. I do remember seeing the Pokemon movie in theaters fairly vividly. Remember it being a pretty fun time. And definitely remember it being very intense in the like ending scenes where all the Pokemon cry on Statue Ash and all that. And do we paint the belt? Yeah, it's not quite a belt situation. Let's see. Let's just maybe I'll paint that purple. Actually, I think that'll look better purple. Or silver, I don't know. Point is, this guy's leather pants are done. On to the next. Oh, it was Mew. Are you saying it was Mew that they were all crying on? Doesn't Ash get turned into a statue or something as well? But another movie I remember seeing when I was a kid in theaters that I remember as being more enjoyable than the Pokemon movie was the first Western Digimon movie. I think I saw that in theaters more than once, which was just like an accidental, like, fun bonus. I think like I saw it at a birthday party, and then like one day I was being babysat by an older cousin and we happened to also go, and that was awesome. I always like have been in the I mean, I've always like enjoyed Pokemon and very much appreciated it, but I've always also been in the camp of like Digimon is better than Pokemon. And then Blue Parappa is like a more intense version of that. Whereas in that they like, you know, had Game Boys growing up and were able to like actually play the Digimon and Pokemon games. I think if you forced her to choose between the two, she'd probably pick Digimon. Oh, you're talking about the card, Mew. Digimon has alerted Fiverr. Good. Cyber Scorpio, is it the VHS of the Pokemon movie or Digimon movie? Yeah, I remember that Ancient Mew card, Dolfo. I don't remember what happened to mine. I mean, at a certain point, all of my childhood Pokemon cards were, you know, given away or abandoned somewhere. I don't remember. And then, of course, now I have an adult collection of Pokemon cards, as you do. Which I got some, like, some cards I like to stare fondly at in the binder, but other than that, they're mostly just decks I could, like, I just have laying around. I could play with them for fun if I wanted to. I'm sure the rules for the Pokemon card game would come back to me easy enough. I feel like finishing this unit of Steel Legion is going to take much longer than it did to finish up the Brutes. I think the Spire's army, what the scheme I came up with for painting them, is just a lot more efficient. Or it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but like painting the force-grown drones, the like unit of spears for the Spire's army, just the way the models are, they're a lot easier to like batch paint than the like equivalent Men-at-Arms for the 100 Kingdoms. Amplified Metal Garurumon kit. Yeah, that's a very underrated kit. Blue Parappa has that one as well. Alright, I have to paint these straps brown as well. Might have missed those on the flag, boy. Yep. Let's just make sure we do that. Circle back to that next. Oh boy, is your first scribing tools, Ethanol? Yeah, for those of you watching now, I'll most likely announce this a couple times throughout, but I'm planning on doing another stream tomorrow night with a Fiverr for one of our good old co-streams. So y'all get a special treat this weekend of having a second stream, and not only is it a second stream, it's a second stream that's a co-stream with Fiverr. And they might just be working on a Gunpla. Unless I supersonic speed paint these. Okay, I gotta do the elbow sleeve parts brown too. Then I will probably be continuing to work on these tomorrow. I know my monotone voice doesn't exactly convey excitement because that's just the way it sounds, but I'm very excited because it's been a while since the last co-stream. We may or may not talk about JoJo, but we may also talk about shows that are not JoJo. Yes, it is, Fiverr. Yes, it is. Oh, well, I wish you luck with your scribing, Ethanol. Hopefully it goes better than me. The first time I used my scribing tools, I cut my hand and nicked my fingers in like 3 different spots. Yeah, I mean, we should, if we ever write a constitution for anything for our co-streams, Fiverr, it'll be in there. There'll be a rule about JoJo has to be discussed for at least, 5 to 10 minutes. At the very least. Oh yeah, you got some fighting words. Or maybe fighting words isn't the right word, just like... Liam, how have I managed to get this far? I guess I'll find out tomorrow. We'll all find out. But also, for once, there's a show I watched that you had already seen, and I was able to send you my, post-episode reaction hot takes with Hot D, aka House of the Dragon. But I won't spoil too much more for tomorrow's stream. It's not tomorrow, it's tonight. We're in tonight's stream. Just painting some fancy sword, boys. Just trying to remember if I painted that part purple on the last ones too. Oh, and can't forget to do the arm bits like I did on the last one. I watched a bit of the Para Bellum Games, the company that does these minis. They'll do kind of live stream things every once in a while where they show off some upcoming stuff. They call them happy hours. And I tuned in for a bit on the one they had yesterday. And apparently on December 15th, they'll be doing another one of these happy hours where they show off the first new wave of minis coming for the newest faction next year in 2023 called the City States. And they're kind of ancient Greek looking with and they'll have griffins, minotaurs, dudes with big round shields and spears, but also they'll have some kind of clockworky elements worked in. So, and the way they've been designing their minis just keeps getting better and better, and quality keeps going up. So I'm very much looking forward to what this new army is gonna look like. Maybe it'll be a big money sink for me, who knows. Why have 2 armies when you can have 3? Yes, exactly. Hot D. Yeah, we haven't done G-Witch. Me and Blue Parappa have 2 episodes left to watch in Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. I feel like with G-Witch it might be one of those situations where we wait until we have an extended break and we just watch the whole show in a weekend. I don't have a valid Crunchyroll right now. I believe that's where I'd watch it. If we wanted to do the whole sign up for the free trial just to watch the one show, we would need the whole show to be out for us to watch the entire show in a week while that free trial is active, you know? But the true Millennial experience, I guess Gen Z experience too, is when you got a show you need to catch up on, but there's also your favorite YouTubers released a new video and you also want to watch that. Because let's just face it, YouTube is like in the same role as TV at this point. A greater role, you could say. Greater as in larger, not as in like superior, but there's a reason TV shows, or I don't know, that's hard because TV shows are also on streaming platforms, but like I'm just referring to legacy media basically. Shows that would have aired before, you know, internet streaming was a thing, but are now available on internet streaming sites. I don't know if you'd call those legacy media or not. Why have 3 armies when you could have 8? Yes, exactly. Hello, Kalinas. Yeah, Dolfo, I feel like lots of people are in that boat. That's how I feel as well. I think on overall, I watch more YouTube for sure. And I don't know when that started. Good question. Sometime between 2012 and 2016, perhaps. How time flies, as they say. Yeah, Fiverr, now you got me trying to crunch the numbers in my head on how many different armies I have across all the games I play total. But I'm hitting speed bumps like, you know, yeah, I have a Pan-O army for Infinity, but that army is like less than 20 models because Infinity is like a skirmish game. Like for 40k, I don't have any 40k armies, but I have like a collection of Dark Eldar that I use for kill team, and like a smaller collection of Adeptus Mechanicus for kill team. Although I guess I have a very small like collection of Space Marines for an army, but that's like what's in the Indomitus box minus the attack bikes because I sold them to a local guy. So I don't even know if that counts as an army. I'd say if 2,000 points in Warhammer, that's like usually like tournament level games, and I feel like you can have less than that and still consider it an army. Maybe I don't know, in my head I'm leaning towards like a very broad definition, as in like if there's some sort of character that's like a kind of leader or general, and then you have, I don't know, like 2 or 3 units and they're all different, does that count as an army? I'd like to think so. But then if you're collecting them explicitly for the purpose of a skirmish game, then maybe then you don't count them as armies. I mean, it's kind of like a pointless esoteric discussion, but it's like amusing. For me anyways. Just getting this brown painting over with so we can get to the exciting purples. The gray is, I guess, more exciting than the brown as well. You completed the Tetra. What model's that? Yeah, I was back to counting the armies. For my War Machine and Hordes, I got Mercenaries, Signar. I'm not sick anymore, I promise. I just got stuff stuck in my throat. I got 3 War Machine and Hordes armies. I got my Lizardmen army, which is like halfway between square and being rebased to round bases. And I'll say my Blood Bowl force like is just kind of included in that because that's like a Blood Bowl team. Oh, so that's 4. I got my Empire army, which is staying on square bases, so that's 5. And yeah, everything else would be for stuff that's smaller, like skirmish games, like Kill Team, or like painted minis for board games or for Infinity, so I don't know how I would count those. But at least 5 armies. So it's not 8, I got work to do. Oh, and I wasn't counting my Conquest armies because they're barely like painted at all, so I would definitely count those as having armies. So I've got at least 7 armies. There you go. Are you talking about the Clown Gobbo's 5er? I would say that's enough minis to be like an army. That's definitely like more than a skirmish force, in my opinion. Not that it matters. Oh no, not the Hovid. Sorry to hear that. Yeah, when I had a cold like 2 weeks ago when I was finishing this TsukasaWM, I was taking hella Hovid tests. They all came up negative, thankfully, which was surprising. Yeah, dang Horde armies. That's something they never tell us to check when we're getting into the hobby. And I'm guilty of giving this advice too. You're just like, oh, just, you know, build and paint the minis that you think look coolest. Which I still would stand by that advice, because like it's hard to motivate yourself to paint minis if you don't think they look cool. But yeah, then sometimes you can get burned, be like, I picked this faction because they're cool, but I didn't know they were the faction that is like Horde armies that involves the like highest cost of entry and the highest amount of painting required. At least now 40k players have the options of playing Imperial Knights or Chaos Knights, where it's like, yeah, my army is just like 3 really big models. I mean, granted, those big models do take a while to paint still, because they're big and have a lot of detail, but I would say that's probably, or like in a lot of cases, that could be easier than painting just a large horde. I guess it depends on the painter. Some people would much rather paint a lot of really small things rather than like one very big complicated thing. I don't know where I stand on that. Well, actually, I think I lean more towards the painting the big things if I go by my history of painting projects. One of the lists I played a lot with my Scorn army in War Machine Mark III was my Zol 2 Immortals lists, and that's like a Horde list, because Zol, the Warlock, aka the commander for the list, is like this wizard dude whose soul was transformed or transported into like this like obsidian rock warrior body, and so his army list is all about buffing this unit called the Immortals, and the Immortals are just like these rock warriors. And so one of the lists I played with them a lot involved 3 units of them, so I painted like 30 Immortals total. Took me a while to get all those units done and painted, but having them all like painted together, all on display on the table, is a very satisfying feeling. As it should be. Very little advantage to the army, yeah. It's more expensive and takes longer to paint. You'll love it. But when you face off against it, or when you just see it on display at a table at a convention or gaming club or whatever, it's all the more impressive. Just to see the sheer number of minis all sitting there painted consistently. Oh, okay, sorry, I missed your message earlier, Kalinas. The Gerbera Tetra from Stardust. Yeah. I've worked with Milliput before, but I haven't used it to fill in hollow sections, but... Milliput is sandable. If it's a pretty big hollow section you need to fill, Milliput might be the best tool for the job just because it's, you know, you don't want to use up an entire tube of Vallejo putty or whatever, filling up a large gap. Oh yeah, bronchitis, that sounds rough. Cyber Scorpio. I think we got to... Yeah, looks like that bit has to be brown as well. Oh, sorry, let me approve that message there, Dolfo. I see the chat, like, on the monitor in front of me from the streaming software, but then the chat on, like, the YouTube browser page that will show when messages get flagged, I don't always look at, but it should be there now. Yeah, you'd paint, I mean, you could practice on some of your kids' toys. I've definitely seen some Pokemon toys before that I'm like, oh, that might be fun to paint. Okay, I'll try and remember to look at the other one more. When you say use them for commander, you mean like Magic the Gathering commander? AKA the best way to play Magic? Yeah, good old polycaps. In 50 years we'll be like, back in my day, we had to build with these weird rubber parts called polycaps. You couldn't use plastic cement on them. And they didn't like paint either. Interesting. I wonder if that, or I'm sure that could have some scale model application somewhere in regards to the auto body filler. Yes, the insatiable bits box could always use more bits. Bits for the bits god. No, you panel line the plastic, Ethanol, and then you realize you gotta paint it still. So it's fine. It's just a panel lining warm up round. Maybe when you have to panel line it again later, it'll just go twice as fast. Yeah, Dolfo, I was listening to a podcast the other day. They were talking about the like 40k Magic the Gathering Commander decks, and they were talking about like, yeah, lots of people playing these. Like if they're playing a deck for an army that they have in 40k, they could like potentially have minis to put on top of so many of the cards in their deck. It was really interesting hearing them like discuss all the, because they're just kind of like going through all the decks being released in this first wave and explaining how the mechanics work and stuff. Seems pretty fun. Or like it seems like the cards they designed were pretty cool and flavorful. And they're saying the Necrons were broken. Hello, the Hobby Hobo. Yes, I'm always happy to see the Conquest stuff pop up, so I'm glad to have the chance to spread some Conquest around myself. Yeah, at least panel lining isn't one of those phases of the project that's like super tedious and frustrating. Like, God, I can't imagine like doing all the masking for a project and then like realizing I need to take it all off and restart it because I did something wrong or out of order. Oof. How could Wizards of the Coast have seen that one coming? Yes, the slivers. Yeah, the slivers is a cool deck. One of Blue Parappa is like some very casual, I think just like one casual Magic the Gathering Commander deck, and it's a sliver deck. But when she put it together, she like had a rule of not spending over $50, so it doesn't have any of the like super powerful, expensive sliver cards. Yeah, slivers can definitely be pretty frustrating to go against. Oh, well, thank you for the $21 super chat to Dolfo. Appreciate it. Does game have dragons? Conquest: Last Argument of Kings does have dragons. There's only one faction that has a dragon mini, and it's like I guess I have to explain a bit about the lore. Like, so the dragons in Conquest, like in many settings, they're like very ancient beings. But like the dragons and their offspring, I can't quite remember it off the top of my head because I've only read through it once. The dragon like offspring became like gradually weaker and weaker, and like eventually lost their sentience. And so the one faction that has dragons are kind of like subjugated dragons called, I think they're called Drakes, but like the Dwarf Dwagholm faction, they have these like big beastly, they kind of just like look like dragons without the wings. And they're big lumbering beasts on all fours with like big cannons on their back, and they're being ridden by a dwarf wizard. They're pretty cool. And I'm sure down the line there'll be some other kind of draconic-like thing or dragon mini that comes out for a new faction or an existing one. But the dragon's confirmed in the lore and settings, so technically, yes, the game has dragons. Okay, I think I got all the brown on that one. Yes, Fiverr, it is an important question. So important, it required money. which I support, obviously. Oh, well, if you're just getting started with painting Kalinas, I would say, you know, just take baby steps and only buy the minimum stuff required if you're just getting started. You don't want to invest too much money if you might not like it. Amazing strike freedom and perfect strike freedom. Oh, well, you'll have to get the normal one eventually. Yeah, Kalinas, if you're like just getting started, you probably can get away with just like one can of spray primer and brushes, paint. Like, you don't need a wet palette to start off. But you know, if you're super confident and like, yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this and dive deep into the hobby and not regret it, go for it. And like, I guess if you're painting a wide range of things, it might make sense to get like the Vallejo starter set. But if you're like just painting, or like, you know, if you just bought some Space Marines, for example, or like Stormcast Liberators, you could probably get away with like just buying the paints that you need, like the specific colors for how you're gonna paint those, and then just like buy more paints as you go and like pick up new projects. Be like, I bought this new mini and I want to paint it purple because I'm tired of painting blue. Then you would buy a purple paint. But I mean, there's lots of pretty reasonable starter sets out there too that are worth picking up. Don't get me wrong. The Ultimate Strike Freedom, that sounds cool. Yeah, I don't know what the difference between the game color and model color sets are in terms of game color versus model color. I like can barely notice the difference between them. They're very similar lines. I think game color is just more direct. Model color is more of like their, just like the massive paint range they've had for a while, and then game color is like kind of sort of the same range but geared more towards miniature painters in the way that they like name the products. That's just my guess anyways. I mix and match game color and model color all the time. And then certain colors will be like they have a range called Panzer Aces, which is basically model color, but it's geared towards like historical mini painting. Because, you know, things will be labeled like, oh, this is German, like World War II field gray, and stuff like that. For those history buffs that are also miniature painters. I mean, historical wargaming that came way before the fantasy wargaming, so gotta respect the roots. Yeah, airbrush, definitely. That's definitely not something you need to get at the very beginning. If we're speaking from the strictly mini painting basis, I suppose. And you can tell I've left these models as work in progress for too long because there's lots of like dust and fibers stuck to them. You hate to see it. Alright, only 2 left to do the brown bits on. Yeah, Tamiya and those older brands tend to lean military, it seems, sometimes. Oh, nice. The stream overlay is matching with highest and latest super chat. They're both Dolfo. I don't remember what I had it programmed to for highest. I think the highest, it's calculated by like highest this stream. Because if it was highest of all time. But yeah, and I did that. It like combined previous super chats before. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it's at now. It doesn't really matter as long as it's displaying something. And Dolfo, you can once again have have the flex of having your name in both categories for now, until someone usurps you. And if anyone's missing the burps, I do not have a carbonated beverage with me right now. Perhaps I will grab one when I take a bathroom break. We'll see. See how my tummy's feeling. And this old haggard Games Workshop brush is doing fairly well, all things considered. It barely has a tip anymore, but it's still been sufficient tool for this stage of painting. Oh, nice. Pre-sleep eggnog. Nothing like a quick chug of nog before bed. Oh yeah, you gotta keep those desks clean, boys. Or hobbyists, I should say. Yeah, plastic cement, that's pretty useful in almost anyone's kit. Six hours, well, probably forgot to take photos because you just needed a break. I don't think the kid will suddenly become animated and pull a Toy Story or run away. Hey, what's that a quote from Cyber Scorpio? Hope I'm not embarrassing myself by not realizing where it's from. Come on, just a little bit. We already painted the pants on this one. Okay. You all can just ignore that massive nub that I am just gonna leave on there. It's a massive nub, but it's on a small mini that's part of a unit of 12, so almost no one will ever see it, except for everyone watching the stream, I guess. Maybe you didn't even notice on the stream. Alright, time for the brown on the last one. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've seen that movie, but I wouldn't have gotten that reference, I think. Remember that movie being pretty enjoyable? Alright, now just the arm bits. Yeah, I've definitely broken parts while taking a kit apart before. That's always stressful. One of my least favorite parts of the process, you know, when it's part of the process, is fully disassembling a kit. I replied to someone's comment a while ago when they were asking for tips on that. I was saying, like, I've been burned before by, like, clipping my fingernails on the day where I had to, like, fully disassemble a kit. So the main tip I gave him was to, if you know you need to disassemble a kit, hold off on clipping your fingernails, because having, like, the longer nails to grab things and, like, get in between parts is really handy. And if you've got freshly clipped short fingernails and you try and take apart a gunpla kit by hand, it is not fun. Alright, good night, Ethanol. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I have heard of the technique of snipping parts of the pegs off beforehand. I think I've done that on a kit before, and I did notice, like, a slight difference, but I guess I got too paranoid, or I wasn't trustful enough of the process to not, like, clip a peg that would be essential. Unfortunately, there's a bit of brown left over on the palette. Not the most efficient use, but that's fine. Where are we gonna put the purple? That's right, we're painting the purple next. Back to good old royal purple as seen in the artifact video. Oh yeah, guitar picks, that's a good one. Oh, you've been sleeping all day, right, because you're sick. Oh no, the bit rate's down. Yeah, dull hobbing, I've done that before. Credit cards. We're gonna be using a solid amount of this purple. Let's thin it with a bit of actual thinner just to be proper. Welcome, Phaser1X, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Now we're going on from the not as exciting brown to paint some fun purple. D&D is always nice, yes. I don't have any D&D going on right now, it's too bad. Yeah, there is definitely a merit to doing your customization first. Yeah, and that just really depends on what your customizations are, I guess. Yeah, I guess I haven't decided what color I'm gonna paint the tassels on this banner along the side. Yeah, maybe might end up being white again. I'm not sure. I could just have them be gold, I suppose. Depends on whether I want to introduce a new color to the palette, like a new accent color. Red can look really good against this purple, but there's nothing else in my 100 Kings army that's showing any red right now, so definitely would have to be a call I need to make. We got plenty of purple to paint before we come to that decision, though. Yeah, red or gold. Yeah, I mean, gold, if I wanted to not risk introducing a new color to the palette, because right now with my Spire army and 100 Kingdoms army are next to each other on the battlefield. The Spire's army kind of has more of the red, warmer tones. So perhaps gold is the answer at the moment, or this bronze color that's on it on the models currently. It's like a very goldy bronze, if that's a thing. Might have to switch to the more precise brush. Yeah, I'll do that after I use up the stuff on this brush. Going to switch to another brush that is also very haggard but has a better tip than this one. Oh, and other news I forgot to announce is I'm officially done posting the backlog of shorts, so my YouTube account history is just going from posting a bunch of shorts in like a week, and then there'll just be barely any shorts ever from now on. Plus, you know, it'll just be a short every once in a while around when I upload an actual video, because my shorts are just recuts of my actual videos. $30 on a mechanical pencil with a needle. So yeah, that's a bunch of premium products there, Nathaniel. A good, I do love me a good fancy pen or pencil though. It is very enjoyable to write with a pen that just flows well. Yeah, I have not tried the razor. Goldie bronze is solid, thank you. Okay, well, let's switch to this good old taped brush. It just loses more of this plastic shell every time, but the tip is still good, so I need to use this to get into this janky spot in the ring. Oh boy, it's gonna be fun to highlight this spot. Yeah, resin kits are pretty daunting. I prefer to, like, I've worked with resin before, but in, like, much smaller quantities with, just minis that will just have parts of them that are resin. And a couple, like, decently large models for War Machine and Hordes that have like big chunks of resin in for their bodies. Yeah, doing miniatures in general require like less sanding work than Gunpla, just because of the nature of the models. So all the sanding and like proper fitting that you got to do for those resin conversion kits, it's quite daunting. Thankfully, Plamotherapist has some good guides about it. The stream might be getting a little wonky on YouTube's end here. My bitrate looks okay, but the YouTube browser page is giving me an error. Okay, it's gone now, so there'll probably just be a stream hiccup there. Hopefully it's not too bad. If the stream starts becoming potato quality, I just need you all to let me know. Well, I remember the last stream I was getting that bitrate warning a lot, but no one really seemed to complain about it, so I don't think it was much of an issue. Right, almost done with the back of the flag here. Yeah, I mean, those resin conversion kit stuff, they look really incredible and badass. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it requires a lot of work to get to that final result. It's like if you're like not a fan of masking, then like you're gonna have a bad time with a resin conversion kit probably. Full scale at a resort casino in Las Vegas, both based on this general theme. Hello, Titan673. Welcome. Thanks for coming by. Okay, now we can move on to the front of the flag. Oh, glad it's still crystal clear on your end. I mean, I know some people find masking a fun, enjoyable, and relaxing activity, maybe, so that in that case, a resin kit would be the dream. Just, you know, wear those respirators if you're sanding that spicy resin, people. And wet sanding is also good. It's good in general, but especially important with resin. Alright, thanks for coming by, Dolfo. Appreciate you. Have a good rest of the night. A lot more finicky metal bits on this side I got to paint around. Yeah, the more I'm looking at these tassels, I am kind of tempted to do white with them. Just with the amount of, like, gold they'll be showing already, but we'll see. I still got a ways to go before I have to make that decision. Sorry, I don't know how long the camera was out of focus there. Both the Ifrit and Qubli are pretty good choices. I like both of those in terms of aesthetic anyways. And this royal purple color goes on so well. So if you're looking for a kind of indigo purple, do recommend. Alright, you go get Sonic then. I'm assuming you mean the hedgehog. Nice, indigo and white do go well together. Purple just goes well with a lot of colors, I find. I've painted many a purple thing in my career. Yeah, the stage of blocking out and figuring out where the colors go, that's one of my favorite stages in most projects. It's like a fun creative exercise to figure out, I find. Is anyone else excited for Darktide? Comes out next week on the 17th, I believe. As someone who's put in a decent amount of hours into Vermintide 2 and added it to my favorites list, I'm pretty excited for Darktide. And I know, like most RPG fans, I will spend far too long in the character creator screen before I even enter a match and start shooting or chopping at anything. Because Vermintide 2 is an amazing game, but I wasn't expecting Darktide to have all those character appearance customization options. That was a real game changer when I found that out. And just got, my hype was already pretty high for the game before that, but that, doubled my hype. Alright, sounds good, Ethanol. Thanks for chatting and everything. Hope you have a good rest of the night, and yeah, failure is the best teacher, as we know well here at Millennial Model Mayhem. 10 days, well, if I'm streaming in 10 days, feel free to let us know in the chat. We'll give you a chat happy birthday then, Cyber Scorpio. Yeah, Darktide is pretty pricey. I've got like enough gunplay in my life right now. I got plenty of stuff to build, so I'm okay. I just like the developer of Darktide enough to be okay with just giving them money on launch day. I don't ever since Total War Warhammer 3, I don't pre-order games anymore. And most of the games I've bought recently have been ones that have just been on my wish list for a while, and then I buy them when they're on sale, but not with Darktide. That's one where I'm just who am I kidding? I don't want to play this right away. In an attempt to get my video out faster, I don't have any games installed on my computer right now, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be playing a game or two of Gundam Evolution during the day to keep those FPS muscles fit for the release of Darktide. Sorry for all the coughing noises, hopefully they're not too bad. Almost done the flag here. Okay, now I gotta take care of the other purple parts. Which this guy doesn't have a tuft on his head, so I guess it's mostly just the underclothes or the under armor padding. Alright, see you, Cleanus. Thanks for dropping by. I do feel like I need to check on the other reference. No, I don't. Yeah, no, okay, I remember what I painted it now. This part's definitely purple. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you viewing the streams, but I don't think I'll change the streaming schedule for your birthday specifically. I hope you can understand. Oh dear, there's only one viewer. That's okay, if you're a lurker, you don't... No need to feel obligated to chat or anything. Perhaps I would get more viewers if I was painting a gunpla, or perhaps it's something else. I must not fret too much about it. If anyone feels like chiming in, I'm always interested to know how many of you watching are mini wargaming people, or like people into miniature war games or tabletop stuff, or whether you came more from the gunpla side of things, or both. I know plenty of people do both. Yeah, this guy doesn't have a fancy plume on his helmet either, and I'm disappointed. When it comes to fantasy minis, especially ones with great swords, I usually think they look better with fancy obnoxious hats because I played the Empire. Sorry, I bumped the mic with the end of the brush a bit there. Just did it again. Oh yeah, and I should have mentioned when it comes to Vermintide, I have put in a lot of hours, but nowhere near as many hours as with Total War Warhammer. Because that game is like crack for me. Not that I know what crack is like, I don't. It's probably more addictive than Total War or Warhammer, but you know, who's to say? If only I could retroactively translate some of those hours put into Total War Warhammer and use that for mini painting instead. I would have more of these work in progress projects done. I do need to get out the tweezers to get the stubborn fiber off the model. And I should probably just keep these out of the toolbox because I'll probably need them again. Oh yeah, that was a big one. Sorry, I'm getting that YouTube warning again about it not getting enough data. Perhaps it is my insufficient bit rate that is what's giving me less viewers than usual. I don't want to sound too complainy though. It's always easy to complain about low viewership. And it's always hard to figure out why it's happening. Well, not always. The Anniversary Edition upgrade, is that an upgrade from the version of Skyrim that was already on the Switch, or is that just what the Anniversary Edition, or like is that just the edition of Skyrim that's on the Switch? The Squitch. And you know, if there's crickets, you don't need to feel bad. I'm okay. I'll just, you know, either way, I'll keep painting. I just, you know, try and talk into the void when I come up with something to talk about. But at least I do have the music programmed into the background for my stream. This sword has a bit of extra fancy bits on it. Next. Yeah, it does look like something's messed up with the stream. Sorry for any buffering people are experiencing. I am back. I'm not entirely sure what's going on. On the streaming software's end, the bitrate's pretty fast, but not on YouTube's end. Maybe it'll catch up in a minute. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'll keep painting regardless. Maybe I'll watch the stream VOD tomorrow, see what the quality's like. For those of you... Okay, the warning's kind of gone now on YouTube's end. Maybe it's fine. Good old... classic mysterious internet problems. It's always a fixture of the Millennial Model Mayhem content zone. I did some tests with my internet a while ago too to try and figure out, because like sometimes when I'd upload videos things would take way longer than they should and I didn't know why. And after testing, everything seemed to be working fine, so I was like, well, I still don't know why. I just gotta hope the next time I have to upload a big chunky video, I have time for it to run, just in case it's really slow again, because sometimes it's slow, sometimes it isn't. I also know my computer is in need of like a good old cleanup. Possibly a clean Windows install, we'll see, I don't know. I gotta, you know, obviously finish the video I'm working on first. Maybe like just get one more video banged out after that in case my computer gets temporarily bricked. Don't want that to just disrupt the work when there's another video I'm trying to get out. You know, classic just PC maintenance stuff. I'm no Linus Tech Tips. But he is a fellow Canadian YouTuber. So gotta appreciate him for that. No need to be sorry, 0EXE. Or 0XEXE. You came from Gunpla. Are you still in Gunpla, or do you both? Do you do both Gunpla and minis, I should say? Maybe I'll have to test, or maybe the bitrate could be an issue coming from the streaming software as well. So is the hacksmith. Ah, cool. 0xexe. That's what I like to hear. I mean, I'm not the only one that's noticed the crossover potential between the two hobbies. Were you able to rope your buddy into Gunpla, or has he roped, or have they roped you into 40k? Hard to tell whether that's armor panel or cloth. That's tricky. Let's paint the sword and ignore it for now. Yeah, well, 30-minute missions. Yeah, it's not a bad choice. It's not that intimidating. Won't scare them away right away. Looks like we need some more purple on the palette. Nice. This stream has 69 views, apparently. Oh, it's you want to paint him a 30-minute missions kit. I'm sure they would appreciate that greatly then. Definitely some proxy models you could use that for in 40k. Depending on what kit it is and how you customize it. So who all wants to not take bets, I guess, just speculate for fun as to whether Twitter will make it past 2023. At this point, it's anyone's guess. Okay, I'm gonna say this will be purple. I think that's what the heart of the paints is telling me. Maybe I'm wrong though. We will deal with the consequences later. I guess I can tell the 1 and or 3 of you watching right now that the next streaming project should be the going back to the good old Vidar Batos and finally finishing that Kit Bash hand-painted project. So that's one of the things I want to finish by the end of the year. That definitely has a few streams worth of work left in it. But, you know, depending on how I'm feeling, there might be one stream in between where I just, like, you know, have a palette cleanser of just, like, let's just build a Gunpla in a stream or something like that. I guess I've only done one Gunpla building stream before. People seem to like it. And I definitely have Gunpla that needs to be built. Okay, these are slightly different. If I ever played Skyrim, what was my preferred play style? Man, I never had the only console I really had was a PS2, and I never played Skyrim on the PC. But if I did play, my build would probably be focused on like melee combat with, I would probably like mainly focus on melee combat and then have a secondary focus on magic stuff. And then probably play an Argonian just because I like Lizardmen. And they're more suited to like dex builds from what I remember. I feel like Skyrim's one of those games you can kind of get away with playing it however you like. I remember I played at a friend's house once and I built a Khajiit character, and then that's how we all discovered that their like unarmed claw attacks are kind of overpowered in the early games. You could like 3-shot the cave bear at the like beginning with just your clawed kitty hands. It was pretty entertaining. Shadow Scales. Was Shadow Scales the name of your stealth archer? In light armor with one-handed and shield for emergency? Also, that's respectable to have, you know, an emergency option like that. Good old sword and board, can't go wrong. Shadow Scales is a good assassin name. Letting the paint get a little caked up on the brush there. It's bad brush etiquette of me. How does the Elder Scrolls lore compare to other well-known lores? Because I watched House of the Dragon recently, I've been on like a Game of Thrones, or I guess Song of Ice and Fire lore binge lately. The lore is pretty solid. It's feels more like history is the better word to use, but I guess if it's like, you know, history in a fantasy story, that's pretty much lore. The lore for Conquest, the miniatures game that I'm painting this mini for, was surprisingly good. And it's still difficult for me to compare any lore to, like, the Warhammer Fantasy lore, because I can know it's like, yeah, objectively this lore is kind of like better than the Warhammer Fantasy lore, but it's like hard to detach those rose-colored glasses when it comes to talking about fantasy. Then of course Tolkien lore as well, but Tolkien's like got all that stuff started in the first place, so everyone's derivative of that, of him, in a way. Ah, I see what you mean there. That's cool. Reinforces my opinion that the Argonians are the coolest races in the Elder Scrolls. The coolest of the races, I should say. Every time I ever played it at a friend's house and made a character, it was always either a Khajiit or an Argonian, I believe. Because, you know, number 1, coolest, reptiles. Number 2, cats. And the ones that do have the like purple tufts at the top of their helmets look so much better than the ones that don't. I mean, like, which helmet would you want to wear? I feel like the choice is obvious. Alright, oh yeah, I just realized I should have been painting their sleeves with the purple as well. I knew I was missing something. Okay, well, just to keep things consistent, I'll do those purple bits on this one, and then I'll just go through them all again. When I'm done doing the purple, it might be a good spot to just end the stream there, because we'll be past 2 hours, and viewership's been pretty low lately, so I might just save the rest of my streaming energy for tomorrow, because like I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a co-stream with Fiverr. And no one needs to feel bad about the low stream viewership. It happens. The important part is I'm getting painting done. At the very least, when I'm done with the purple sections, I'll need to take an actual bathroom break. The last time that I got up, I was just seeing if anything was up with the modem. I didn't actually use the washroom. But you know, it is a double stream weekend. I don't want to push myself too hard. The last double stream weekend was when I was really in the weeds with the Sasabi. Oh yeah, this talk of Skyrim has reminded me that there's this, like, Elder Scrolls miniatures game. I guess I guess it's not like branded Skyrim at all, but I remember the first time I was made aware of this game when it released. It had like a Dovahkiin Dragonborn mini in it. I don't know much about the game. It seems like a skirmish game. Either that or like a Frostgrave type game. I haven't really heard from anyone about what the quality of the minis is like. I think Duncan Rhodes painted some minis for it on his YouTube, if I remember. Okay, now I'll do the sleeves that I was supposed to do. I'll go back through the other 7. It's weird how like one side of this, or one arm of this mini, the sleeve is different and has this like band of purple with chainmail next to it. Bit of asymmetrical outfit design there. Yeah, I think once I'm just done doing this purple, I'll wrap up the stream there and save the next bits for tomorrow's stream. So, like 10-15 minutes left, perhaps? The way my back's feeling currently, probably a good call. And then between the stream tonight and the stream tomorrow, we'll still have more streaming hours than average for my weekends. And if anyone is wondering, we will be getting back to Gunpla content eventually, both in terms of streams and videos. The Ebony Mail is the only heavy armored chest piece that benefits stealth builds while secretly buffing Argonian's damage. I'm a fan of equipment like that. Fancy extra protective armor made just for rogues. And then with a racial bonus for an Argonian using it on top. Even better. Oops. So if anyone's still watching this stream has any dying questions or super chats or anything they want to do and can't come to the stream tomorrow, now's your chance. Oh, and I might have the amount of paint left on the palette just perfectly balanced to be used up by the time I'm done these sleeves. We'll see. The palette's actually, I've been fighting with this palette a bit on the stuff I was using it on yesterday in terms of like the edges drying up fast, but I added a bit more water to the sponge for what I've been using it for today, and it seems to have solved the problem for now. I can tell it's evaporated a bit, so I should probably rehydrate it after I clean the paint water. It's written in the code of the game. Is that how they found out? Did they just read the raw source code for Skyrim? That's a pretty intense Easter egg there. Man, seeing all these Steel Legion next to each other ranked up when they're all done is gonna look very satisfying. Can already tell. One speed painting tip that I think can be applied generally to minis is like, for minis like this that have a lot of metallic bits showing, it's easier to like if you're spraying everything in one base color as like your priming step, or right after your priming step, like get ahead on things, it's a lot of times beneficial to do the metallic first, because getting like a nice smooth base coat on with a brush, it's like sometimes you can get faster result with non-metallics than you can with metallics. So with these minis, for example, the first step is spraying them with the bronze color to just get a relatively uniform coat over all of them quickly, because brushing it on would probably take at least 2 coats. So the case for these ones, they've got enough metals showing. That was how I decided to spray them all with the metal color first and just deal with the painting the non-metallics over top of the metallics, which isn't really that bad, depending on the color, I guess. PC Master Race. Classic. I feel like my explanation of my priming steps there was kind of vague and weak, but it's like it's there. I feel like it's a simple enough concept that y'all get it. Alright, there's a bit on the sleeve of the last one I need to tidy up. Need to use some of the brown that's still on the palette here. Oh, whoops, I just put purple on the brush. Wrong one. Should still be some brown I can salvage. Yeah, totally. Thanks, wet palette. Alright, now we're on to the sleeve part of the last one. Oh wait, we still have the flag one after, just kidding. Although I guess my my back is probably extra sore just because I was doing a lot of painting this week in general. It's just most of the tasks to be done this week involved painting. So in that sense, it's a satisfying soreness. Okay, now the last bit of purple. Unfortunately, my paint use wasn't, or my palette use wasn't so efficient that I won't have a little bit of leftover purple. Should still be available to use for the stream tomorrow if everything with the wet palette goes well enough. So one of the black books in the Dragonborn DLC favors female characters. It's another fun detail. Alright, well that's all the purple for now. And yeah, I think I'm gonna save the rest of my streaming energy for tomorrow. The stream tomorrow will be continuing to work on these, but it'll be a co-stream with Fiverr. The last guest stream I did have my old stream overlays, so this one has the new ones, so part of the chat box is still showing. It's not all gonna be covered up by the like co-stream overlay this time, so I've got kind of like a happy medium between the two. I think I can make it show up for a second there. You can kind of see it. Okay, I'll have to make sure it goes. It's a good thing I tested this. I'll have to make sure it goes on top of the chat box. And yeah, so that stream tomorrow will be start half an hour earlier, like at so 7 my time instead, or yeah, 7 my time instead of 7:30 like the one tonight was. Oh, cool. Extra gender output again, or extra damage output against enemies of the opposite gender. Cool. Oh, we got little pieces of the brush that are chipping off going into the palette here. Okay, so thanks to everyone that came to this stream, whether you're here or not, and I hope to see some of you again tomorrow for the stream then. I haven't scheduled it yet, but it should be at 7 p.m. Mountain Time tomorrow, and you can follow my social media to confirm that tomorrow. So good night, everybody.